Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight has been. I say that, and don't mind me. I am full of energy today, and I am happy. I've been like this ever since I crawled out of my car. So Starlight's high on life right now, and like I said, I've been like this all day, even though it's been raining. It rained most of the night, on and off. Kind of different, sprinkle, little bit of rain, sprinkle, little, and it's been like that all day, but that's okay. I'm still out here, and I just got done cooking, and what's cooking? Good looking. So anyway, besides that, I hope you're all able to get out in nature, and if you're, I don't know where you are, you might want to bring an umbrella or like a raincoat or something, depending on where you are. And also, thank you to all of you who have been here, loving and supporting Starlight. And no matter what you think, we all need each other. So, and thank you for all of you who have been here, loving and supporting Starlight. And if anyone would like, you could also send love on a love donation through my Cash App, and I will have that information here. Ping, there it is. And before I start this video, hello, my name is Starlight. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and you can find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't forget the notification bell, and you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you can share my videos with your family or friends. Plus, don't forget my playlist, and you can also find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman Starlight. So anyway, today is a new topic. Starlight, I don't think Starlight ever brought this topic up, and I've been meeting a lot of people, talking to a lot of people, hearing a lot of stuff everywhere I go, and because of the stuff that's going on in news with the weather, the way the weather has been, and all this stuff that's been going on, even with, the possible war and all this stuff, and AI, and so there's a lot in the Bible, in Revelation, about the end times, and that's where we are in the end times. So and I was one of those people a long time ago, and this is why, sorry, I got this, my little curtain here, and it's hit me in the head. So, long time ago, when I was going to church, and when I was learning about God and Jesus, and, going through discipleship, and, the first church that I went to, both of them were Baptist churches. So, that is where Starlight was going to a long time ago, and I've gone in other churches for a little bit of short time, and but what I was learning, the one church I was in there for 5 years, from 95 to 2000, and the other one from 2000 to 2007, which both of them, were cult churches to one degree to another, so the second church was really, really bad, so anyway, with that being said, is that no matter what church I was in, especially the first church, I don't think I heard it as much in the second church that I was going to, the Second Baptist Church. One was like just the First Baptist Church, and the other one is Old Paths Baptist Church. Whew, when you hear that, you know you're in trouble. Old Paths. So yeah, so both churches were talking about it, but the first church, where they were more relaxed, about stuff than the second church, so they were talking about Jesus coming back in the clouds. Jesus coming back in the clouds. There's a lot of clouds out there today. I mean, it's a very cloudy day today, and it's been sprinkling all day long. But now, whether Jesus is coming back in the clouds or not, I want to make this video because it's so important for those of you that could possibly watch my YouTube channel, and that could be, I gotta research this all up because, I didn't know this because I wasn't taught this. So when I was going to church, I called myself a Christian the whole time. I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian, I'm a Christian. Then, and that I didn't know that I thought a believer and a Christian was the same thing. But then I found out that they're not the same thing. But I am I do believe in God, but I am spiritual, not religious, and there's a lot of religious people out there, and a lot of religions out there, people that go to all different types of churches, and so many, there's so many different beliefs out there, so many different types of Bibles, and people can interpret the Bible whatever way that they want to. They could twist the Word of God and make it say something that it doesn't, so there's a lot of confusion that goes on with the Bible. And what I was learning, I love the Bible that I have, which I don't have that. I gave it away to my daughter because she didn't have her Bible anymore. And it's kind of funny. I knew I was going to be living in this situation, and I loved my Bible so much. I didn't want it to get ruined by, not knowing what it's going to look like after, being in here. So that was a Thompson Chain King James Version Bible. And it's amazing how so many people have such a big issue of the King James Version. It's a big, people complain a lot about that Bible, but that's the Bible that I went by. And I didn't know it. Now they actually, and I have the Old Testament in my car that I received it as a gift because I went to a food bank, and they gave me a bag of all these goodies for hygiene products, and different odds and ends and things that I really could use, like beautiful lotions and soaps and all that stuff. Well, in that bag, actually, they gave me the new King James Version Bible, and it was like the new King James Version Bible. What? Where did this come from? Because I never even knew that. So I do have that Bible back in my car, but that is the New Testament. So with that being said, is what I'm getting to is Jesus coming back in the clouds? Because that's what I am like all over. I've traveled different places, and a lot where I was in this one location, every time I went by on the road, I was like, wow, these people, they are really serious about this, because no matter, they're always outside on the corner, and it was the strangest place because it was where a lot of traffic was, but it wasn't in a place where I thought that, because I didn't think that there would be people out in that particular area, preaching out there and, getting people to honk, which I think is really dangerous to do that, having signs that says honk, if you're waiting for Jesus to come back, or, people want you to honk, because they're out there preaching. I think that's really dangerous, because it did mess me up when, I'm new in the area and there's people honking their horns. I'm like, like, what's going on? So anyway, is Jesus coming back? And when I started going to church in 95, and when I started, I was a baby in the Lord, and yeah, Starlight, I even before 95, actually 95 is when I went, what they say as in church, got saved. I accepted Jesus in my heart to cleanse me from my sins, so, and that was in 95. I repented of my sins. I did. I really took that serious. I wasn't playing around. I was at a funeral when that happened. A close friend that I knew that had a family and a wife, 3 kids and a wife, that man would give the shirt off his back. That's the type of man he was, and he passed away. And so that's how Starlight ended up later on going to church, because when I got saved because that's all I could think about after that time is I wanted to learn about Jesus. So as I was going in church and going through discipleship, I wanted to get involved, but they said, no, you can't. You got to, I wanted to be a member. You can't. Starlight, why not? I wanted to get baptized. No, you can't. Why not? So I had to go through discipleship. So I went through all these discipleship courses. Starlight I saved all those books and all that stuff. And they gave me like a nice little paper that let me know that I finished the courses. Then I did get baptized at a Baptist church. It wasn't a sprinkle like today, I can't stand out there, because that's the thing is that, different churches, they will sprinkle water on you and say, hey, you're baptized, where that's not how I got baptized. I got baptized by being right. And I mean, I went back for, thank God I have to say that, my pastor way back then, which he's no longer here, he was able to hold me and he didn't drop me, into the, there goes Starlight, going to heaven already, so I got baptized in a church way back when, way back then. So, and that's all I was learning, is that Jesus was coming back in the clouds. So I definitely was waiting for Jesus to come back in the clouds, because I went through hell, and I just, I tried to end my life so many times up until the point I got saved, and there has been other things that I've gone through, but I wasn't trying to end my life. So saying all of that is, because baptism actually is saying that you want to follow, Christ and go on that path in life. I mean, I'm so rusty on my Bible because I didn't read my Bible for years. I used to have a lot of verses. I used to knock on doors and actually have stuff memorized when I would go to their house. I had my Bible all marked up, and had bookmarks all through my Bible. And so Starlight used to go door knocking a long time ago and used to have her beautiful, I had an old Bible that so much marking in there. I had all kinds of stuff and outlined, in my Bible, learning about it. And, some people said, that's wicked, Starlight, you did that to your Bible. But you know what? It helped me out. So those things stood out. So then I could, find it easy, and, so with that being said are you waiting for Jesus to come back in the clouds? Now, do you believe that Jesus, you gotta, these are things that I need to do, and I didn't do it, but I'm making this video because I'm just here. There's times I make videos just to get you to question your own, what you believe, and not so much what you were told. And I'm not saying this is not true, and I'm not saying it is true. It's something that you got to really figure out on your own as far as is Jesus coming back, and I've actually met people on this journey at gas stations or out in public somewhere, and where the people have been mad and angry because they were waiting for Jesus to come back, and they're like, yeah, right, I'm not waiting around for Jesus anymore, so a lot of people have gone through that is that they gave up on, waiting for Jesus to come back. And the reason why I am making this video is because, like I was saying, is I've gone through hell. I mean, like from right out of the, once my mother, had me in her womb, with wanting to end my life, and I mention these I don't want you to feel bad for me. They were all lessons in my life. So I repeat these stories because if you just started watching my YouTube channel and this could be your first video, you would not know in the other videos that my parents tried, my dad didn't want any more kids. My mother decided, hey, I'll try to, whoops, I'm gonna just try to drink alcohol so she could have a miscarriage. But you know what? God had a plan. The plan was for me to make it. And I have to say that happened also with my sister. I wanted to say my daughter, isn't it? That is sick and twisted. But my sister actually didn't come out very well because of the same kind of situation that was going on with my parents. Of course, they didn't want me to think they would want my sister after. So my sister is actually handicapped and blind because of these kind of things. So these were lessons for me, even what went on to my sister. I prayed for a sister, and God does things, and God has a reason for everything, why God does everything. And I'm not going to go into that story as far as my sister goes, but I'm just saying is that my life was hell. I didn't have an easy upbringing. Nothing came easy at all from the, and that's how I knew there was something screwed up with this world. I'm like, come on now, there's something out there really twisted about this, So, do you believe that Jesus is coming back in the clouds? And long time ago, I'm waiting for Jesus to come back. All I wanted to do is my whole life get the blank off of Mother Earth. I want, and I believe in aliens. And I'm looking up there because, I was waiting for aliens to come and pick Starlight up. And on top of that, because when Jesus in the story, in the Bible, the stories that was going on and how Jesus was doing this and all these things that Jesus could do, and that I really believe. Now you can say whatever you want to say, and that's okay. So I was really into aliens and stuff throughout my life. The same year that I got saved is the same year that I went through some stuff with aliens in my life. So 95 was my favorite year. And with that being said, is I kind of thought, because I believe aliens are here. There's actually alien DNA blood types. You got to check this out. I used to donate blood, and I can't because my body is too healthy to actually, I'm changing. My body's changing. I cannot donate blood. And I more than likely could not donate plasma either if I cannot donate blood, because my blood pressure would be too low. So, because I am really, that is how healthy I am. With that being said, is that, alien blood, there's Jesus Christ bloodline, and then there's the royal bloodline, blood types. So there's a lot of different, I was learning when I was donating blood, they let me know what blood type I was. What blood type am I? So I ended up Googling. I'm like, what does my blood type mean? What does it mean? And so there are alien blood types out there. And, this is why a lot of people, they're thinking aliens are going to, come, in a UFO and come here to destroy the planet. But that's exactly how this matrix works with the people that run this world, not President Trump, not those people, but the people that really run the world. Of course, Satan has all these selected, to do this stuff. They're just puppets out here. And so those people, there's different blood types, and there's a lot going on with blood, and babies and all this stuff. People do some crazy stuff, people are out there drinking blood. And I kind of even asked that question about my blood when I was donating. I'm like, how do I know really where my blood is going? Is there any proof of where did Starlight's blood go? Did somebody drink my blood out there? What blood types, because there's people that do these crazy things out there because, just like they want, I'm not even going to go on that. I researched this stuff long time ago, but there's power in the blood. I used to sing that song going to church. There is power, wonder working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, wonder working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. So there is power in the blood. We are all kings and queens now. Starlight did sing a little bit, but I'll tell you what, our singing where we came from, and we sung. We didn't hold back, and that's what Starlight does that. But so there is power in the blood, And so I'm saying all these things because I believe, there are aliens here, and I believe Jesus is an alien. And it doesn't mean that Jesus got to look like some kind of freaky monster or some kind of green thing with big old eyes, That's the Hollywood shit, That's what they do all this stuff because they want you to be afraid of everything and the fear of this and the fear of that. Well, there's people that will get upset about this topic, and I know other people that make topics like this. They're not afraid. They will put, and I do want to watch that person that does make videos. They're not afraid. They will, put it right on the title, but they, also they get people that get upset. They don't like these titles, and they will attack those people for their own opinions or even the study that they've gone through on their channel. So there are people out there that do believe that Jesus is an alien, and I believe they're here already on planet Earth, and they look like you and me. You wouldn't even be able to tell, is Starlight an alien? And that's what I tell everybody because of my eyes. I just had a guy yesterday, wow, your eyes are pretty. Well, I mean, all the time. I can't go anywhere without somebody like, saying something about my eyes, So I'm bringing all this up because people are waiting for Jesus to come back in the clouds. So I thought a long time ago, I'm like, well, I kind of think, Jesus is an alien, So I really kind of was thinking this a long time ago with what he was showing us and teaching us, in the Bible times about healing people, all the different miracles that were going on, and how, the people that are running this world, how they were, using, they're, trying to get people to destroy Jesus, it's like holy, like even when he was born, they were, they were trying to figure out, by following the star, like figuring out where is he, so, and that's why Christians or believers, they are kind of a mark, out here, is because they want to shut us out, whether you go to church or not. But believers, people that are standing up for their rights and all that stuff. So we are a target if you're standing up for your rights and your freedoms and all that stuff, because of course the people that are running the world, they want to shut us out, even with COVID, where my video was deleted about, using your voice. I don't remember the title, but that's what it was about. And it was during COVID time, and boom, deleted. Even my mentor's video was deleted. I didn't even know it until he mentioned it on a video, because they want to put fear out there and get us afraid. But are you waiting for Jesus to come back? And the reason I'm making this video is because you better watch out. If you're a person out there looking up at, and I'm a person that's observant, man. I'm always checking stuff out, animals, people, what is up with that? I'm always asking, I'm always checking things out. I mean, the weirdest shit. Starlight's out there checking stuff out in her reality all the time. I get distracted just by doing that, What's that, what's that, I don't know, what did I see the other day? It was, a caterpillar. I do want to put that, I could put that on this video, is a caterpillar. It's like, it's not good. It landed on me when I was meditating, and they're poisonous though. They're not good. You don't want them on you, but it landed on me and I didn't know. I was trying to meditate and just act, I felt something crawling on my leg, and I just want to zone out and ignore it. And so I just kind of knocked it off my leg, but didn't know what it was. And then before you know it, I got another thing crawling on my leg, and it was this caterpillar that's poisonous. But anyway, I had to do a little video on there, so I'm going to put that on here. It just is that I caught it, and there's two of them. One had a gray spots on the top of it, and the other one was white, and I thought it was a male and a female. And when they got close together, the one that was gray top turned white, just like the one. So I gotta Google that, figure out why did it turn white. So anyway, Starlight's always checking out stuff with the animals and plants and taking videos and pictures. So the reason I'm making this video is that you gotta be careful. If you're a person like I used to really be all the time waiting for Jesus to come back, and I've seen some crazy ass stuff in my reality without being on drugs. of things in the clouds. I have seen a lot of stuff in my reality without doing drugs. Things in the sky with clouds. I've seen horses running through, up in the clouds. In the middle of the night, I woke up to go pee, and I was like looking out the window. I'm like, what the heck? Clouds of horses. It was a beautiful freaking picture. It was horses just running through the clouds. Bunch of them just kept on going and going and going. And I'm like, maybe I'm dreaming. So I got outside to get outside, and it was a windy night. Had my robe on, and I had to get up, and get out and look out. I was looking up, and I'm like, no, I'm awake. I'm not dreaming. This is not a dream. I am really freaking watching these horses and the clouds, not just horses of clouds. I actually saw a dragon, like a 3-headed dragon in the clouds just going by. What else did I see? Angels. It looked like angels in clouds. I'm like as perfect as can be. I could not believe my eyes. So these are stories these are not stories. These are real life events that I actually witnessed. So starlights, I've been looking for UFOs all the time. I'm always checking out why the sun looked weird. It looked like a sun disk. What's a sun disk? What the heck is up with the sun? Sometimes it blinds my eyes out. Other times I can look right at it straight on, and it doesn't even affect me. I'm like, that's not the sun I grew up when I was a kid. So I'm always checking up, looking at right now it's raining, So are you waiting for Jesus to come back in the clouds? Hey Jesus, are you coming down? So I always believe in that. Man, maybe he's going to come back in a UFO, man. I'm ready to come, So there is some people out there like Starlet that believes that Jesus is going to come back in a UFO, and, we're just going to, maybe just, our body, we're just going to leave our bodies and just get, sucked up in, in the rapture, all this stuff. So, what do you think? Do you think Jesus is going to come back in the clouds? Do you think, a UFO is going to come and save you from this world before everything, before Mother Earth does its thing? What do you think? I'm just getting you, got to get you to question this. So, if you are, I'm saying you got to watch your ass. Because I believe that they know that Christians are out there waiting and looking in the clouds, waiting, hoping, praying that Jesus is going to come back and save them from, from the stuff that's going on this planet. And you got to really be careful. What if the ones that are running this world, what if they, because they got shit out there, we just don't see it. The movies tell us a lot. They could create stuff right in the sky and make it look, they could create stuff out in the sky and make it look as real as can be. So you gotta watch out, I thought this, like, imagine it being an invasion, not an invasion, but a trick just to, get you to go there, because it says that every eye shall see the Son of Man, in the clouds or whatever. I'm not going to word it perfect, but you gotta be careful, I'm not going to tell you whether it's real or not, if Jesus is going to come back or not. I'm just going to keep on working on myself, If I just disappear, I disappear, If God takes me out of here, I'm gone, but I don't want to, I do want to pay attention, yes. But you gotta really be careful, because it could be a trick, and they're doing a lot of stuff online as far as, bringing stuff out and letting people know that, yeah, we've been lying to you all the time, for lifetimes, like long time now, about whether aliens or, or spaceships and UFOs exist. I remember looking in the, Hitler was making, somehow or another, Hitler was actually making UFOs and stuff like that. So UFOs are out there, people have seen them, but is Jesus coming back in the clouds? And how is Jesus coming back in the clouds? That is something you gotta ask yourself. Is he coming back in the clouds. And how is he coming? I'm like, how is he going to come back in the clouds? I'm like, well, I believe he's an alien, because there is alien DNA blood types out there. You got to Google this. Alien DNA blood types. Starlight is right. There is really alien DNA. What kind of blood type are you? I've been studied my whole life from school and now. If I told you some of the stuff that I'm going through right now, you wouldn't even believe me. I only told one person. That's all it's going. I don't want to tell anybody else because nobody would believe the stuff that I deal with here. So you got to really be careful out there. Is just because they could set you up just to get your ass. And I don't want to scare you, but I want you to really be smart. And with the AI technology and all this stuff, I'll tell you what, they do have movies out there, and I'll tell you, I've seen so many different UFOs in my lifetime, but you gotta really be wise. And yes, there's a lot of people out there waiting for Jesus to come back in the clouds, but I'll tell you what, you don't want to fall for a trick, because they could create it, the people that are running this world, because they want you. They don't want Christians or believers out here, because people like me and like my mentor, we are out here warning people and helping people out. They don't want people to talk. They don't want people having their freedoms. They don't want freedom of speech. That's why they deleted my video during COVID time and deleted my mentor's video during COVID time, because they don't want us. They want people just to, shut up. They don't. And that's why the whole mask thing during COVID time, they don't want us to talk. They want us to be quiet. And that's why now more than ever, people that are out here making any content, we need to use our voices now while we have the freedoms that we have today. There's no promise of all this stuff later on. And this is why Starlight's been really making other videos out here, is to use my voice while we can, have the freedoms that we have today. I love you so much. You got to figure it out on your own, whether you believe that Jesus is going to come back in the clouds, and if so, how do you think Jesus is going to come back? And be free to leave any comments. I'm being as real as possible, what I believe. So I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.